Welcome to the CEO Bros Podcast, After Hours, with Brian Baldoff, co-founded, grew, and sold VHT Studios. Brad Baldoff, CEO and co-founder of By Your Side Autism Therapy Services. Matt Croak, the consummate entertainer, jack of all trades, and serves as our host. Gentlemen, welcome. Happy Friday night. Although I know we would all prefer to be in person at the Watering Hole, aka Studio G. But
Yes.
Welcome. Welcome. Due to necessity, we find ourselves remote, and it's a great topic to talk about remote versus in person or at the workplace. I know, Brian, you had a story that you thought was relevant to the topic for today.
Yeah, I mean, tonight it's not because of COVID, but that was, I don't know, but I mean, that was the first time we went remote at our company was when COVID hit in 2020. And I just remember I was the last one out of the office that day. It was that Friday, like March 17th or whatever. And it was one of the guy with me as we're leaving, and he goes, "Hey, you think we ought to clean out the refrigerator in the kitchen?" I'm like, that's probably a pretty good idea. I don't know how long we're going to be working at home. I mean, we were thinking it was going to be like a week or 2 weeks. Like, we better
And you guys were all known as being big milk drinkers, weren't you?
There was milk, there was jalapeno peppers, there was
cheese,
there was
salmon, salmon.
I think it's like most offices. The fridge was pretty bad to begin with. So when we were like, okay, yeah, that's a good idea. There was all kinds of stuff in there. It was like 50 Tupperware containers with salads and fish and whatever else. And it took us like an hour to clean out this fridge. And then, we never came back. We came back to close the office like 2 years later.
Wow.
And I'm like, wow. It was really smart to clean out that fridge because this place would have looked like a jungle by now if we hadn't done that the day we left.
Wait, what do you mean you never came back till 2 years? You never went back for 2 years?
We never went back to the office, period. When VHT got acquired, the company that bought us was virtual worldwide. They didn't have any offices either. So we never really went back. Our customer service team went back, and our accounting team went back, but we never actually went back full time to the office. And I know Brad has the opposite opinion on that, but
well, quickly, what'd you do at the building? What'd they do at the building?
it was interesting because our lease came up during the middle of all that, and they were going to raise our rent. And so I told our finance guy, I said,
You guys aren't here. Let's increase the price. Perfect.
As he looked through our office, no one's even there. Take a look at the parking lot. I felt bad for the company who owned the building because right before COVID, they had bought it, a couple guys, and they put a ton of money into new air conditioning, repaved the parking lot. They did a new lobby. And then like a month later, everybody left. And I think most of us didn't come back.
So you were forced into a scenario where your workforce became remote workers. They were not in the office or required to be in the office, but kind of in a way forced to work.
Oh, yeah. And we were really lucky in that, I mean, we had been in business for 20 years already. The year before, and customer service was key to our business, answering the phones. I mean, we get hundreds of calls a day from clients. The year before, we had been hit by a blizzard, and most of the customer service department wasn't able to come in for a day or two. So the gentleman who ran client services for us, Nathan Cox, he made it his mission. He said, by next winter, we're going to be able to work at home just in case we ever get hit by a blizzard again. We can't afford to be off the phones for a whole day or 2 days. And thank goodness he did, because when COVID hit, we were able to just flip over to that new system. Otherwise, we wouldn't have been prepared at all. It would have taken us months.
It sounds like you had a bunch of wussies working for you. Didn't want to take phone calls from the office when there's 6 inches of snow on the ground. That's really
it was a legit blizzard. It was like 36 inches of snow. So
no, all due respect to the former VHT employee group that may be on listening to this, it was a total joke. But
They took their dog sleds, their snowmobiles,
but
whatever it took.
but I mean,
Brad, you're
Matt, this is a debate though, typically because I have a philosophical difference with Brian as it relates to the output and the quality of work that you'll get from a remote workforce. And that doesn't mean that people aren't effective, but I do think that organizations lose a certain level of an undefined percentage of productivity. What I believe, whether the stats show otherwise or not, I just believe that when people are working remotely, you lose a lot of the elements of a business that are intangible. You know, working together in an office, there's that bonding, there's that team bonding, there's the short exchanges, people passing in the hall, at the water cooler, pulling chairs up next to each other, working through things. I think you just lose all that. And because Brian and I have discussed and debated that for many years.
That's funny because
Work at home.
when I worked at the phone company a long time ago, we had a massive corporate complex, building wise. I mean, it was just enormous. And at some point, my office was in the middle of the building, so I would leave at 5:30, and it would take me like an hour and a half to get to my car because on my way out, I'd keep running into people who wanted to ask me something, tell me something, show me something. So eventually, I moved my office to be right next to the exit door.
Clearly effective.
Right.
Clearly productivity measures just took off with that
Yeah,
It seems
that
like
move.
it seems like it was a shiny new toy, right? We could do it. Everyone was excited that it could be done. Or look at all the tantrums. But then as time has gone on, you're starting to see the pushback of what Brad talked about. And I know I had the opportunity, Brad, to work remote with Fireside, and I passed it up because I remember the conversation in the beginning being, well, how productive can you be? Like, is it okay to throw in a load of laundry, or is it okay to run out? I found those weren't the issues. The issues I was having was, yeah, I can be disciplined. I'm not connecting with anyone. Even meetings, I'm not, seeing face to face or teams, cameras are off. I wasn't connecting.
Yeah, I mean it's obviously a hot topic for discussion in the recent months with Jamie Dimon, the CEO of Chase. Is it Chase? Yeah,
Yeah, yeah.
Chase.
JP
Yeah.
Morgan
Yep.
Yeah, I
Chase.
was trying to blank. Yeah,
AT&T's
where
gone back recently. Microsoft's gone back recently. And those are two good case studies because apparently at Microsoft is going well, AT&T not so much.
yeah, I mean it's well documented that Elon Musk has been very outspoken about you get back in the office or you're gone. Jamie Dimon was caught on a hot mic talking about how nothing's going to get done if people are working from home. I mean, it's difficult because for specific work functions, jobs can be done remotely and fully support that. I think it starts to slide down this downhill curve that it becomes a bigger issue for a company where human interaction, human interfacing, try to work on things in collaboration or in groups in person, you lose that element. And it might just be the space that I've been in the work that I've done in the last whatever 15, 20 years, that I can't see it any other way. But I'm a big advocate of being in the office. That doesn't mean you don't take your days to work from home here and there, but to be full-fledged work from home 100% of the time, I'm just not a big fan of it. I think you lose a lot of productivity and you lose a lot of the human interaction that makes for a great culture in the workplace. And Brian, I know you feel potentially different about that. Maybe you feel the same.
Well, yeah, I lean more towards the pros. Like one of the pros to me after we started working at home was we could hire people anywhere in the world. And we found some amazing people in Idaho and Nebraska and Canada and Japan that never would have been able to work with us if you had to be in the office in Chicago, which was our only office. Plus, we had gone through a bunch of acquisitions. So we had small divisions, in Washington and in New York and in Florida. So technically, those people weren't coming into the office, the main office. So that to me, that was a huge pro. I agree with you that if you have a local business and it makes sense to keep everything in one office, it's way more productive for people to be there in person. You know, it's just in today's world, it seems more and more difficult to do that. Like Jamie Dimond, great. He's got an office in every city in the country, probably every city in the world. So there's some place for people to go. But, if I've got the only guy in the world who can do the software programming I need, and he happens to live in, Seattle, I'm not going to open an office in Seattle for him. He's going to have to, work remote. And there's so much that goes into it. I think the age of your employees, like I felt horrible for new employees coming in, like you just graduated from college.
Yeah.
And you didn't get to come to like when we were a startup, we had a softball team, we had a bowling team. We used to do Change Your Latitude Fridays, where we,
you drank in the office. Yeah,
we would
Yeah, I
drink,
remember.
we would drink in the
You had
office.
animals all over your dog, you
Yeah.
had cats, you had parrots.
You can't wait to work the Latitude Fridays. I'm all in on that.
There you go.
Work in
But you
the
got to
office
work in the
all week.
office to be able to go out
Okay.
drinking together afterwards. But we
Well,
had that
Matt,
culture already when we went home. For somebody just coming out of college, it's like, hey, welcome to your new company. You're going to be on Zoom 8 hours a day, 5 days a week with people you've never met. That's just brutal. That's
By the way,
not
I love that you said we hired from all over the world, and you went Idaho, Nebraska. Okay, and then you went Japan. Shout
my
out to Idaho.
worldview.
yeah,
Vandals, go Vandals,
yeah,
University of Idaho.
yeah. I was gonna say you're picking on the Huskers and the Vandals
Yeah.
there, Matt, by going after Idaho and Nebraska. You should take that a little bit
Sorry, from
easier.
all over the world. Idaho, Nebraska.
But Matt, like you were talking about working remotely. I mean, I would imagine there is, and trust me, I've worked remotely too, so it's not like I haven't experienced both, but you do allow things to get introduced into your daily work life that never would have occurred at the office. Like if you're in the office, all of a sudden your dog, your pet, someone's at the door, a contractor comes, you're starting to, and all of a sudden things that were not typically things that would interfere in the workplace if you're in the office start to become part of the regular routine. Now, I know there's the argument that's made that, well, you're less likely to worry about getting ready. So you could literally roll up to your computer or your phone in your PJs, or you could work long after the time you would have punched out at the office and work from home. So there's definitely advantages where you're not. I've heard from people that work from home that you're not really on the clock, right? It's almost like you start when you start, you quit when you quit, and many times you work more hours than you would have worked in the
Yeah.
office because
Yeah.
you want to avoid traffic, you want to avoid congestion. Matt, what did you find? I mean, you've done both. You've been in the office and you've worked remotely. What do you see as the benefits for
I
you
think
from
it's a
your
great
standpoint?
tool. I think it's a nice add-on to have. There are times when you need to work remote. It's a great tool to have, great technology to have, but I don't want to make it, I still want an office. And that's what it came down to it by your side. And this probably plays into it, is they're like, Matt, you don't even need an office anymore. We could repurpose it. I said, well, I'm not losing my office. I do not want to lose my office. I love the ability to come in, talk to the therapist, see parents dropping off. That interaction was helpful. I absolutely do remote days. So it's a great tool, but it's not something I like as an option all the time. And that must be hard for CEOs who say, yeah, but we gotta, Brad, you're building new centers. How are you allotting space for admin who you go, well, you could be remote? How does that conversation go?
Well, I mean, I would say Brian probably does have. I mean, it has everything to do with what industry or space you're in. I mean,
Sure.
we're a therapy service business where human interaction one on one, providing a clinical treatment plan to another individual. It requires, it necessitates that you're there with the individual. Yes, there could be some remote supervision, but most of what we do is one on one. So the way I viewed it is like, okay, the therapists have to be in the office because they have to work with their clients. It's kind of hard for me to justify that, okay, all the therapists, the ones that are doing really the hard work day in and day out, stressful activity, working with our kiddo clients, you're going to be in the offices, but all our support staff and everybody else in leadership, senior leadership, executive leadership, everybody else is going to work from home. It doesn't seem right. You don't have the team all rowing the boat in the same direction. And again, so I would say that it's probably um, there's no right or wrong answer here, but I would definitely advocate more so for a group, whatever the field may be, you will, I believe, get more done. You will hit more productivity measurements. You will be a more collaborative team in a really cohesive work environment if everybody's in the office, at least as a for the majority of the time. And then what Matt said about having the option of working from home, we do that as well with certain groups where we say you can work from home on certain days. So it's to each their own. I just see the benefits of being in an office more so. But Brian, you raise a good point. I mean, if you're in a space where you can hire employees from all over the world, I mean, and your pool of employees now has exponentially expanded to, now all these new markets. I mean, that's a cool thing. I get it. Makes sense.
But I think a lot of companies went through that during COVID. They started hiring beyond their boundaries. And then when they called people back to the office, they ran into logistical issues. Like, okay, the marketing department is spread across 5 different states. So do I really make this marketing guy go into the office and sit with the IT guys all day? Because they don't have anything in common. They're not even working on the same projects. And like
With
from
all
what
due
I've heard,
respect to the IT group, hey, we love the IT groups as well. I like that. Brian said, if you got to go sit with, it's like, all right, Brian just alienated all IT teams across the country.
no,
It's
no.
like,
Well,
no,
and
You don't want to sit with the IT. You have to sit with them. You
have
never want,
to.
you have to.
Well, that's kind of how the company made it seem was like, go into the office. It's more important to you. It's like, but no one I actually work with is in this physical office, the one that's closest to my home. So these are some of the things I've been hearing from AT&T. Like, there's not enough parking spaces anymore. There's not enough cubicles or offices, because they try to do the hybrid stuff. And then all of a sudden you tell everybody to come back. It's like, okay, well, where do I sit? And where's my supplies? And, people weren't really prepared for this. And now they're making people, they're doing these policies where you have to be in the office at least 6 hours a day. So we're going to give you some flexibility. Okay, well, which 6 hours? And then how do they keep track? So now they're having people hit time cards and stuff. So it's like, it seems like a bit of a mess just to force people into collaborating when they may not even be collaborating. I mean, I still see people in offices doing Zoom calls because they don't want to go into a conference room or they can't get a conference room. Everybody's at their desk on Zoom.
yeah,
So
Let's
it's
roll.
amazing. It's amazing that the three of us are all sitting at a bar right now in the same location,
at,
and
at
we're doing
different
a Zoom
bars.
call because we literally don't want to see or talk to each other in person.
All right.
Hey, Brian, let's role play. I mean, I'm very curious. You just laid out the AT&T thing, a lot of different conundrums, problems to solve. You're now in charge of AT&T. What do you do? Give
Well,
me
that's
your
why that's
top
why
two
I
things to do.
That's why I retired. I hate HR issues and organization issues and stuff like that. I would entirely leave it up to someone else. Um, I think hybrids, obviously, the to me the answer is hybrid, but I don't know what the rule like. You always got to set rules for people because otherwise they abuse it and it gets weird. Like, we my last company, we were spread across multiple time zones. So you'd have meetings, but someone always had lunch during the meeting, so or for one person, oh,
Yeah, you don't get to eat lunch.
this is when
There's
I
no
take my
lunch.
kid to school, so I can't do it at this time. And someone else, it's the end of the day, and so they can't do it. And so the logistics were brutal in trying to pull stuff together. And we wound up spending way, everybody, from a financial perspective, it's great. We can get rid of all our office leases. But then to make up for the lack of collaboration and team spirit and culture, we would do get-togethers. And so we had to fly people and put them up at hotels and do dinners and do events and all of that to kind of recreate that collaborative atmosphere. It probably wound up costing us more than just keeping the leases and telling people to go into the offices regularly, 3 days a week, 4 days a week. So I don't have an answer. I really don't have a suggestion on this one. I think it depends on the company, it depends on the location, it depends on the experience level of the employees, it even depends on the department. What is the department doing? Is there really a need for them to collaborate, or are they independent contributors? Because think about it, generally salespeople have always been remote because they're independent
Yep.
contributors. Yeah,
Yep.
they need support from the team back at the home office, but they pop in once a week and they bring donuts, or they come to a company meeting every 2 or 3 weeks or something. They don't need to be there every day. So who is it that does need to, you know, be there more often than that?
I think I have more respect for this topic because it really comes down to when you talk about leadership, you have Jamie Dimon who's being, nope, this is the way it is. And then you have maybe AT&T. Well, we want to compromise, but then they're kind of getting walked over. So what does a leader do in something where the debate is really still not solved? Do you take the stronger approach and say right or wrong, we're going down this path, or you're going to go, listen, I'm going to be flexible, or do you do both? I mean, obviously you probably try to do both, but how do you handle that?
I mean, I guess I'm leaning more towards the Jamie Dimon approach of these are the rules going forward. If you try to be flexible and you try to deal with every exception and everything like that, you're going to drive yourself crazy. So, yeah, it's going to cost you in the short run. You're going to lose employees. You're probably going to lose some good employees, but at least people know what to expect and how their performance is going to be judged. If you're wishy-washy with stuff, that seems like a mess. I don't know.
Brad, thoughts?
I think it comes down to the employees and the departments. If they can prove to me through their leadership, their respective leadership, their leaders, that they can be as productive in their roles at home that they can be in the office, if they can be as supportive for team members that they may be responsible to, like that they could satisfy and support those employees even from a remote location versus being hands-on right next to them. If they can demonstrate that to me that they're capable of doing it, I'm open to remote work life versus office life. I think that the key is to ensure that you keep your environment equitable. So, meaning from the standpoint of if certain groups can work from home and you let them work from home, and there's other groups that can work from home and you don't, I mean, that's an issue. Then it looks like,
Yeah.
okay, why do they get to do it? I don't get to do it. That's a problem. So it's either, for me, it's kind of an all or nothing. But if you're allowing certain groups to do something by working from home a couple days a week, certain days, all the time, permanent basis. They have to demonstrate that the productivity, key performance indicators, their KPIs will remain as productive as if they were in the office environment. And if that can be demonstrated, I'm all for it and I'll support it. So that's the way I view it.
Brian, I know you might get to some things. Last quick speed round here. I'll ask Brad first. Cameras on or off? There's always
Oh,
exception. Cameras on or off?
dude, that was a whole nother
I mean,
big
for
topic.
yeah, for
Well,
Zoom
it's. I
calls,
mean, it's. Yeah.
I mean, look, I mean, for those people that have worked with me for many, many years, they know that I have a difficult time understanding how we could be in a meeting. It may not even be my meeting, but if we're going to have a meeting and you're going to have people in that meeting, or you're going to be discussing a topic via Zoom, you're going to be in a meeting live together. There's nothing else that should be going on.
Mhm.
So you should not be multitasking during that meeting or that call. And if you are, Brian, I was in Brian
Hey, what?
scribbling. No,
I,
no. I'm just saying if you're I always tell people, I'm like, do not have your laptops or phones open while we're having a meeting, because it just shows that you're not engaged in the conversation. And we have you in that meeting for a reason. We want your input, we want your feedback. So to get to the nuts and bolts of your question, Matt, it's hard for me to imagine everybody having their phones, their cameras off all the time, because are they really engaged in that discussion? Are they really engaged in that meeting? If they're not, why are they there in the first place? That's just the way I
Yeah.
view it.
Brian.
I
Yeah.
so I think cameras on, cameras on.
yeah, I'm a big fan of cameras on. At the same time, I understand people's situations when, especially after COVID, people were forced to do Zoom calls from their bedroom, or from their kitchen, and they've got family members in the background. Or, some people may only have one meeting at a week or a day, and so they didn't shave or they didn't put on their makeup, and like, oh shit, now I got to be in this meeting, for half an hour, and I'm not even presenting. I just gotta leave my camera off. So, but I'm with Brad. Like, if you're in a meeting, you should be on camera and participate
Yeah,
because
you
it's
would
way too
think
easy
being
to
at home.
multitask.
Yeah, you think being at home is the luxury, so the least we can do is set cameras on. As we wrap up, Brian, did you have a couple things, or you want to wait till next time, or?
Well, no, thank you, Matt.
You have
I'd love
you have knits and gnats for us. I mean, you used that
I,
term not too long ago.
the
Matt, I think you gave us a little song, knits and
I
gnats.
that's
That
Brian and his cats.
yeah, exactly. Brian,
Yeah, I'd
what's
love to add a segment once we're done with our main topic for the day of nits and gnats or bits and pieces or whatever you want to call it, miscellaneous stuff that I think's interesting and doesn't fit into a segment or whatever. Like, today I
the
was
green M&Ms, or what was the orange M&Ms? Van Halen's M&Ms, which
Brown,
are
no
brown.
brown M&Ms.
brown,
No
no
brown
brown
M&Ms.
M&Ms. Okay, let's call them the brown M&Ms, Brian.
Oh, all right, there we go. I'll have to think about that. So, I was gonna tell today it's a book recommendation. If you're interested at all in supply chain, logistics and stuff like that, there's a book called Apple in China, and it's about how Apple outsourced all of their production to Foxconn in China. And in the short run was great for them, like financially and strategically, but in the long run, now they're starting to see the downsides of that, of not controlling production of their products. And it's just a great book about supply chain economics, processes, logistics, and stuff like that. The other
I'm
What's the
sold.
name
I
of
may
it?
read that. It sounds
What's the name of
interesting.
it?
Apple in China by a
By
guy named Patrick McGee. He's got the whole history of how it started. The first thing because Jobs was always adamant about we have to control the production from soup to nuts, from end to end, if we're going to deliver the product that I envision in my mind. And then, things just became untenable as they tried to scale and as competitors standardized things and outsourced things to other countries, and so they slid down that path. Actually, Tim Cook, the current CEO, that was his thing. He was the one who kind of moved Apple in that direction.
Just here, not to cut you off, because that might be interesting to if we read it. That could be an episode. That's really, there's a lot of good points in there.
I guess that's true. Yeah, it could be. The
I'd
other
like to hear
one
about
is
it.
just I don't know if you guys have seen recently, YouTube rolled out some new AI tools that are just unbelievable. I mean, you can basically just take a 2D picture, give it a story, and say, hey, take this parakeet or
Wow.
take this picture of me and make me dance on a yacht in the Caribbean, or, make me fly through such and such. So, we talk about AI almost every week. Things are changing so fast. Like, I don't even know if you guys are real, to be honest with you, now that we're not sitting together in Studio
Now
G.
that we're not at the watering hole.
Matt could have just turned on his AI avatar and said, hey, I got to do this stupid show with these guys. Just cover
I
it for
think
me.
I love when Brian gives examples. He gives more about his personality. He just, like if you're saying, "Let me dance with a parakeet on a boat."
hey, who does that?
That's the
Who
example.
dances that?
What is in your mind? I love when you give examples.
Well,
It's a nice little insight to you.
Well,
we
but now you're not
appreciate
going to
that.
get to see the video of me dancing with a parakeet on a boat, man. Sorry.
We appreciate those brown M&Ms, Brian. And if
All
you don't
right.
like the title, too bad. That's what they are. They're brown M&Ms. But hey, it's good catching up with you guys. We'll have to
Yes.
do it again
Very good.
soon,
Yeah.
whether it's at the
How about
watering
next
hole or
Friday?
Studio G. About next Friday. Yeah. Hey, cheers, guys. Have a good
All right.
night. Take it easy. See you. Bye.
Bye.